Hey everybody, my name is Michael McDowell. It's great to be with you. Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how we can use AI to support students in developing clarity around expectations of writing, and at the same time, how they could develop more precision around the feedback that they give and receive from their peers, and also as they're doing some self-assessment work. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you can get a sense. I have ChatGPT up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask ChatGPT to write a narrative at the 6th grade level. And so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then we have a narrative and it's going to write that automatically. Once this narrative has been written, and you can see that it writes it fairly quickly, then what we're going to do is we're going to go over to Achieve the Core. Achieve the Core has writing samples for all different grade levels. And so if I go over here to Achieve the Core, and I look at their sample work at, let's say, grade 6, and I'm going to go ahead and open up grade 6 work. So just bear with me. I'm going to go ahead and show you this piece of work. And now what I can do is I can actually see a narrative at grade 6. And this, again, is from that Achieve the Core. It's free. You can just go into Achieve the Core on Google, and then it'll pop up. And then you can go to the sample student work. And then, boom, this pops up, and you can see the different success criteria. So now we can evaluate the work that ChatGPT had created and our own work. And so let's say that we thought that they needed to introduce the narrator and the characters a little bit earlier. What we can do is go back in to ChatGPT. And so I'm going to go ahead and pull that up. And so I'm going to share my screen. We'll go up there and we'll say, write this essay again, but include the characters and narrator earlier in the story. And then it'll write it again. And then what you can see is that now it makes those changes. You could also say, add a variety of, let's see, what were some of the other success criteria? If I go back real quick, we'll take a look. It says, add a variety of narrative techniques of dialogue to develop events. So we'll go back, we'll add that in there. And then it's going to start writing it again. And so we see how well are they doing, how well is the AI doing in terms of using some of that feedback around some of our success criteria. And this can be a really helpful way for students to look to see those types of revisions based on feedback, and then they can constantly compare it to the work samples that we have. So you can imagine you take like a 5th grade sample, a 6th grade sample, a 7th grade sample, look at what AI is generating in the feedback and saying, with this feedback, is it moving up? Is it progressing the way that we would want to? Then we can put the computers away and say, okay, so we just looked at the samples from Achieve the Core. We just looked at some of the samples that AI had created. If we were going to create our own, let's do that. Let's just make sure we do it in a different context. And then as students are writing that, they can start to look to see where they are in those work samples. And through some of that practice around feedback, they may be more effective in giving and receiving feedback to one another, as well as self-assessing. So that's just one way that you could use AI as a way to do some level of generation, but then being able to compare that to work samples to support students in their writing. So there you go. Hopefully that's helpful. Gives you a couple of ideas. If you're like, ChatGPT, here's a way to do it. All right. Thanks, everybody.